Anita, is that really you? It was as if thunder was booming in my head. I couldn't see the person calling me, yet I felt within me at that very instant that she held the key to my freedom. Listen to my story, but before doing so, please take a minute and subscribe, like and share to reach as many people as possible. You're blessed. I lived with my aunt, my mother's younger sister. Unfortunately, I never had the chance of knowing my parents. Auntie Deborah told me they died in an accident. I was with them, but by the grace of God, I survived. Auntie Deborah took me in. I was just 20 months. She always took good care of me. For her, there was no difference between her biological children and I, except that this was not the case for her husband. He almost never had any consideration for me. He was always indifferent, and even when I spoke to him, he hardly answered. I remember whenever he returned from work or a trip, he would come home with a lot of stuff for everyone except me. The others were offered many toys and favors, but not me. Auntie Deborah made an effort to compensate by giving me something else in the days ahead. Thank you very much, Mum. I've already told you several times not to call my wife Mum. She's not your mother. Uncle Arnaud answered violently one evening when my aunt was congratulating me on my success at school with a doll. Honey, please, she deserves it. At least today, she got very good results. That's to be encouraged. I don't see anything encouraging. Besides, I already told you that sending her to school is a waste of time. But I see in her a great hope, a bright future. My sister would be very proud of her. Your sister is dead and buried, and we still have to carry her burden. I had long wondered about my origins. I knew I was not their child. But that evening, I finally had an answer. The hope of ever seeing my parents again was gone forever. It was indeed the last time I received a present from my aunt in that house. Uncle Arnaud had torn the head off my poor doll. I was terrified not of what he would do to me, that he would succeed in ending my studies. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to see him because my life took such a crazy turn. It was a Wednesday evening on my way home from school when I was crossing the road and I was hit by what? I can't say. The shock is all I can remember. Everything around me was dark, but I could hear voices. I wanted to get up, but I couldn't. People were calling my name, but I couldn't shake. I had lost all notion of time. I prayed with all my strength for God to help me open my eyes, but nothing. I remembered the prayers my aunt used to say with me, and I kept repeating it in my heart. Whenever you feel in danger, call out the name of Jesus and all will be well, she told me. I wanted to say it, but it didn't work. I even felt the touch. I felt something being poured on me. It felt like dirt. What was happening? I could hear cries, especially from my aunt. He was berating me and I couldn't do anything about it. Suddenly, I started to cry. Another page turned without transition, and I found myself standing in front of an altar, and a voice was ordering me forward. The most horrible voice I ever heard in my life. I couldn't but comply as if hypnotized. He instructed me to follow instructions. I was not allowed to talk, nor to rabble. After the instructions, I was taken to another place among people I didn't know, probably a new town. In the first town, I was a fruit seller. I didn't know where they came from. I was selling mechanically, and as soon as my basket was empty, I was immediately carried away by the voice. I didn't have time to breathe at all. In fact, I didn't even feel tired. It was as if I didn't really exist. It was like this all the time, and I went from town to town. Each town had an activity assigned to me. One day, I was walking around with a tray of donuts on my head when suddenly I heard Anita, "Is that you?" I turned around to look, but I couldn't see the person. It was my first time reacting to a voice other than that of darkness. I recognized her very well. She was my aunt. I hurried to look for her, and I suddenly collapsed again. But this time I woke up in a room, and Aunt Deborah was standing in front of me. Her eyes were full of tears. She held me so tight that I could hardly breathe. I understood nothing. "Auntie, I'm scared." "Why? Where am I?" "Calm down, my dear. I will explain everything. It's a blessing you recognized me because on this marketplace, I was talking to you, but you never answered. You didn't even look me straight in the eyes. In fact, you didn't look anyone in the eyes, but now you do. We are actually far from home. I decided to go on holiday with the children for a few days because my husband has changed a lot. He has made so much money in just 1 year, and it has gone to his head. He has become the devil himself, but I never thought he would reach this point. Reach where, Auntie? Tell me. He became a human trafficker, and you were his first victim. He joined a brotherhood, and their modus operandi is to kill people, or almost. If you remember, you were hit by a car and they declared you dead in the hospital. That was one of the hardest days of my life. After that, they go to the graveyard after the burial to exhume the body, and after some incantations, they get the body and take it away. The person is now like a mummy who does everything they say. They exist only for them. He was exposed on his last job. They were caught red-handed in a cemetery, and he and his co-conspirators were arrested. He confessed everything. I was devastated. I kept praying for you to find you. I fasted for days and days. I couldn't stay there anymore. I decided to go from town to town, from country to country to look for you. I recognized you at that market when I was going to give the pastor a lift. He helped me pick you up and brought you here. We spent a night of prayer with you because they were still calling for you in the spiritual world. They wanted to bring you back, but God did not allow it to happen. My poor little darling, forgive me. Forgive me for everything, and do not worry. You will no longer be afraid of me. He is sentenced to prison and has repented from his sins, but you don't have to see him again if you don't want to. I felt I was listening to a story, a witch's tale. It was too much for me. I'm still taking time to digest it all. I don't yet know if I'll visit Uncle Arnaud. I pray every day to forgive him, and God has taken away this burden and grudge in my heart. I called him some days ago, and we discussed. The first step was taken. Pray always because it is your only protection. Never leave home without praying. May God protect us from the atrocities of this world. Shalom.